All right, what is up, crew? Chaz here with Side Hustle Pros, bringing you some guest speakers, which I am freaking excited about because I get burnt out on the RA grind like everyone else. And these guys right here, Dan and Eric from the Wholesale Formula, have done that same transition of the RA grind into a killer wholesale business. So we wanted to bring these guys on, share a little bit about their backstory. Especially the beginning part of transitioning from RA to wholesale. Since our audience is primarily newbie based, I thought that would be a great kind of focus. And of course, we'll open up for Q&A. So if you guys are on the live call right now with Zoom, open up the chat bar and you can drop your questions over there and we'll get those answered, as well as YouTube, and we'll do a Facebook post. I believe Dan himself is going to be coming in here doing a little Ask Me Anything session with the Facebook post, and on YouTube we'll make sure we swing back through and get your questions answered as well. So aside from that, you all watching this know who I am, you know my story. Let's bring the two badasses on and kick this thing off. Dan and Eric, if you just want to introduce yourselves, give a little backstory on each other, and kick it off with your story.
All right, yeah, that sounds great. I'm Eric. This is Dan, and like you said, we started I guess a lot like your audience there with RA. We were both, employed full-time, and a friend of ours was kind of, he was doing pretty well for himself in the company, but he'd started selling on the side on Amazon and never really paid any attention to it until he came in and basically resigned, gave us 2 weeks notice. And, so we were interested in, why or whatever. And he said, well, I'm just making more money selling on Amazon if I put more time into it, so he explained the concept to us, and you know how it is when you first try to explain it to somebody. They don't understand. Well, why don't they just go to Walmart and get it themselves? Or why don't they, they can't really grasp the concept of RA. And so we didn't either, when he first says, this doesn't sound right. So he took us out, gave us a little, showed us how to scan a product and kind of the information. And so we decided, we came up with about $600 between us that we decided we were going to, try the RA kind of, little venture, sent that first shipment in, and lo and behold, it sold. So now we were starting to get more interested, reinvested that money. And then we did that, that started about August, and we did that through the remainder of Q4, and ended up having a really good Q4. It was our first one. Really excited, and decided that, we wanted to just quit this job and go full time with RA and see what would happen. And so that's what happened in January 2012. We quit our jobs, started RA and FBA style first thing, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The shocking part for us was when we sent that first little wave of product in and it actually sold. Like I personally didn't believe it would sell. I thought we were just like, well, we'll waste some money and see if this would actually work. But when it did work, that was the intriguing part. And like you said, we started January 2012 full time. We did about 900,000 in 2012 and 2013 at just retail arbitrage. But we're from Kentucky. We worked a lot. We drove all over the place. Like we were driving. We drove to New York once. Yeah. We were always in like Alabama, Mississippi, Ohio, like just always driving around because there's just not a lot of shopping around us. And then, we both have families, and it was just tough. Like we're constantly out there working, we're constantly on the road, and just nothing, and making great money. Like that's the thing about RA is, with RA you do make great money. Like that's the thing. But you have to work for it. Like you're working for every dollar, like every single penny of that you've put effort in for. So it's, it is a high paying job. And that was what, we left high paying jobs, and it was like, well, what are we doing now? Like we don't want to always do this. We don't want to be in a position where our business grows, whether we're working more or less or whatever. So in about mid 2014, we got started with wholesale. And it was amazing because, we ordered product, it came to us, we sent it in, it sold, we ordered product and it came to us again. It was like that first feeling with RA where it's just, you sent that first wave in and it's like, oh, it sold. And it's like, no, this really does work. We just got to figure out how to do it better. And in that little, over the next 6 months, we figured out how to do it better. We were, improving our processes and getting told no a lot and having a lot of hiccups along the way, but we were getting better and like noticeably better. And by January of 2015, we were ready to transition our entire business to wholesale full time. So it was, we finished 2014 at 1.28 million, and it was just basically the same thing as like the retail arbitrage for about 900,000, and that time it was 300,000 of wholesale on top of it, and it was that was like awesome for us because it really gave us that proof of concept. And then in 2015 it was all wholesale. We didn't go out. We didn't do any retail arbitrage. We did 3.9 million in 2015. Then 2016 we did just shy of 7 million, all wholesale again. Now the shocking part of this is as our revenue was going up, our personal time and investment has went significantly down. Like we were originally working, say, 60, 70-hour weeks when we were out there on the road. I mean, Eric can tell you it was brutal. It was like 5 days shopping, 1 day packing and shipping everything out, 1 day with the family, back on the road every time. And, now it's, we probably work 10 to 15 hours a week on the Amazon business, but our business is growing, and it's because of how wholesale works. Like the principal dynamic of wholesale is it's systemized, right? Everything is easily predictable, and we can jump into that later, but it's, that's what's allowed us to grow so much.
No, I love it. Everything you guys say just aligns up with everything that I was just talking to my wife the other day, and I was like, some of our best weeks, I spent the least amount of time at home because of that exact same reason. Because you can go find products all day long, but you're gone all day long every day, and that's the hardest part about RA. And it's the hardest part about keeping it sustainable is the fact that you might just go out, find a product, it gets checked into Amazon, you flip it, and then you think, oh, I need to get another one. Oh, crap. That was a garage sale find. I can't go get another one. And that's why the idea behind wholesale is so appealing, because it's just one click, you're done. You reorder, or that one phone call. So was there a point where you guys are doing the RA grind? Obviously, we know there's several different options you can go with the Amazon route. What was it about wholesale specifically versus maybe something like private label, or even, just going different routes? What was it about wholesale itself that was most appealing to you guys?
I mean, honestly, we did try private label. Private label's really hard. I mean, that's the thing is you get to hear a lot about people's wins, and the wins are really exciting, right? Because you get that product, you build your brand or whatever, but most people don't tell you about the losses they incur to get there. And it's significant. I think we did 3 private label products, right?
Sounds about right.
One of them was like a break even at best, maybe, don't know if we actually broke even, but it was close. One of them we lost a ton of money on. One of them we made a bunch of money on. And it's like, at the end of the day, what are we actually doing here? It's, think about private label from this perspective. The big sale for private label is that you're not competing for the buy box, right? That's what everybody's like, oh, you don't have to compete for the buy box. But you have to compete for search position. If nobody finds your product, it will never, ever, ever sell. That's the thing. Whereas with wholesale, everything we're doing, the worst case scenario for a product is that we have to lose a little money. All of our products always sell. We never get stuck with a bad product. We never have product that we can't move and liquidate and get our money back, or at least most of our money back on. Whereas with private label, you look at it from this perspective too. You're placing a large order up front, you're floating money because you have to, ship it from China to the U.S. That takes 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on what type of shipping you use. But you're floating that entire investment for that time, plus whatever it takes for you to build that listing. So instead, let's say it's 4 weeks to get that product shipped, right? Now I get it in, I prep it, make sure it goes all to Amazon, get everything up within a week or so. Now I'm 6 weeks and I really don't have any sales. I'm starting my, any of the giveaway processes or whatever they do in private label now. That's another thing we don't like about private labels. A lot of the rules are very against it. If you, a lot of people utilize giveaways and things like that. It's definitely against Amazon's terms of service. And we've never wanted to put ourselves in a position to consistently or to break Amazon's rules, because we understand how valuable long-term the platform is to us. So, private label had a lot of issues for us, whereas wholesale just seemed to streamline those issues. Like instead of having to build listings, all I have to do is improve them, right? It's like I take a great listing that's already selling a lot of product and I just try to make it sell more. And if I do that, like I've done a great job with wholesale, whereas, even if I can't make it sell more, like I can just get out of it. Like if the product's no good anymore.
And here's the thing too is, that was a pretty in-depth explanation of, private label and how it compares to wholesale. But to answer your question directly, I'd like to tell you we had it all sorted out and it just streamlined and it worked because, we had a plan and it executed perfectly. But the real situation is we tried a lot of other stuff. Wholesale what worked for us. It resonated with us and it worked. We tried, online arbitrage. We tried scaling RA with them, employees and shoppers. We tried private label. We tried other things, but wholesale is what resonated, what worked, and made the most sense for us after, we tried those other things. And then wholesale was the thing that really, is what gained traction for us.
Awesome. I love it. That kind of sparked, what are your guys' parameters in wholesale? Because I know there's a ton of different methods and different ways. Are you specifically, I know that Dan mentioned, you're trying to improve current listings. Now, do you guys also take maybe small town manufacturers or brands that are not on Amazon and help them get onto Amazon? Or what are your kind of parameters you like to stick with?
He'll probably be able to break down, a better actually like the parameters. But to answer the question about, we don't really do that. We don't really bring new products to market, but we have plenty of students and we've talked to plenty of people that have done it and have great success with it. It's just not, we've not gotten to the point where we've exhausted all of our well-established wholesale leads. So I don't really, I've never really ventured out in that, but we do know several, students that have done really well with exactly what you said, where they may, bring a product completely new to market or have a brand with established presence on Amazon, but a new product for that brand. But in terms of like specific products, what we actually look for.
Sure. It's for us, like one of the primary factors is that it's not carried by Amazon. Like we don't want to carry a product that's carried by Amazon. And here's the reason. It's not that I don't think we can compete. It's that it's so much work to compete, like, and it's so unpredictable to compete, right? Like at best, you get on a listing with Amazon and they share the buy box and everything goes hunky-dory. Well, that may happen on one listing. The next listing you get on, you get 0% of the buy box. Like we actually carried a product with them in an experiment for a year, an actual year, just had the product in stock the entire time. And we were at $24.95. Amazon was at $24.95. We got over the course of that, and this product was ranked under 1,000 in beauty. So it was a really good product. Over the course of that year, we sold 0 units and had 0% of the buy box. Like, and then you'll get on other listings where you're able to sell products, and the problem is unpredictability, which goes against wholesale, right? Like the whole point of our business model is everything is incredibly predictable. Like our cash flow is very predictable. The amount we're going to spend next week's very predictable. The amount we're going to grow this year is very predictable because everything is a system. All you have to do is multiply it out. Like once you get your base numbers in. So the first thing, not carried by Amazon. Next thing, we don't want to carry private label products, and it's because there's two factors here. Number one, when people bring private label products to market, they're doing so for the purpose of being a retailer. And it's like, our goal is to generally help the people we work with. And it's very hard for us, retailer, to help another retailer there. It just doesn't work out very well. And the other problem is a lot of work goes into private label products. Like they spend a lot of money on advertising. They spend a lot of money on all this other stuff that we just don't have to spend on established products. Like a lot of the products we carry, even though they're small brands, they're still brand driven. Like people know that they exist and they have an existing market. So number 2, no private label. And number 3, we want to sell the product a lot. Like liquidity is like the biggest, liquidity is the biggest factor in our business. Like that's the number one thing that we focus on. And I think it's what's allowed us to grow both with retail arbitrage and wholesale and put up good numbers is because we're never sitting on bad product. Like we're never experimenting and just saying like, hey, we're going to, take this product that sells once every 3 months and it has a great margin. It's just not us. It's like, instead I would rather sell a product with a worse margin 90 times a month It's like because it gives you so many things. It's like, let's say you use a prep center. We'll start this example out using a prep center. If I order a lot of products, like first off, my shipping goes down. Secondly, the processing rate, like, prep centers have a sliding scale for how much they charge you to prep an item. Like that drops down the more products I send to them. So that's every time I'm able to increase efficiency by selling more of a unit, that's what attracts me. And it's, think of it in multiples. Like instead of realizing a profit, a 30% ROI one time, I get to do it hundreds of times per month on a specific product. So it's that part's really attractive to us.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. I love that. So that got me thinking too. That fell right into the category. Again, my wife and I do this, not full-time, we do it part-time because we have other businesses as well, but she's here at the house full-time with me. We basically don't have jobs. And she and I talk a lot about kind of what we have done in the past. We've been doing FBA, eBay for about a year and a half. And we just had this conversation on how we're transitioning our own business from doing those slow tail items, because I might be able to go pick up a camera for $5 and it's going to have this huge margin of $100 profit, but it's going to take 6 months to sell, versus you might be able to find $5 worth of one other fast seller and just flip that over and over and over. So that fast nickel versus slow dime, for those of you watching, is definitely something to really ask yourself. And I've learned that the wholesale industry is definitely that fast nickel. That's what you're going for. So are you guys focusing on a certain rank cutoff per category to get those fast flips?
Sort of. It's more of a, with the software and stuff that is today, you can estimate, with sales rank, how many times that product is selling. And so it's more about how many products we could, expect to sell in that month. So, if there's 2 or 3 sellers, we divide that number by the number of product, the number that's estimated to be sold that month. And if it equals that, 90 or more, I think is what Dan said, although we talked about even moving that down a little bit, but then we buy it. So it's a function of sales rank, but it doesn't tell it all. So like, if a product has a sales rank of 100 and it sells 1,000 units a month, but there's 100 sellers, everybody's, if all things being equal, they're only getting 10 sales a month. That's not a product we're really interested in. Mm-hmm. But, that same products, if there's 20 sellers, now everybody's selling 50 a month. And so, you get down to the point of how many of that product, when I join this listing, can I expect to sell? So it's a function of it, but it's not just, you can't just look at sales rank and not pay any attention to competition.
Like here's what it takes. To do good with wholesale, because you are working on thinner margins. You're working on it's officially it's more like an efficiency based model. It takes, you have to understand Amazon. Like most sellers just put the crap up and they sell it, and it's like, that's what they do, right? They just throw stuff up there and they sell it. And that's what we did for a long time too. But it takes, you have to take a more scientific approach to Amazon, like you said, using outside softwares and things like that. Because, here's the thing about a listing: you can look at a listing and there could be 45 sellers on it, and there could be actually 5 people selling that product. So they're
actually getting sales,
right? So 40 of those sellers are completely irrelevant. And then once you're able to break that down, and understand that, whoa, it's just these 5 sellers, that changes the perception of a lot of products. Like you said, if a thing's selling 1,000 times a month and there were 45 sellers, it's not that attractive. But if you look and there's really just 5 sellers, those 5 sellers are effectively getting 200 sales each a month, or close to it. It's more about understanding Amazon and applying what you can do to maximize your sales and profit through that system.
Awesome. I love that you brought that up, because I know, especially in the newbies world, I remember myself getting into Amazon, learning the ins and outs. It's so easy just to go watch YouTube. Even though I put YouTube videos out, I still tell my people the same thing. Like, you can't just watch a few YouTube videos and just go scan stuff and say, hey, great rank, I'm going to buy it, because you do have a lot of moving parts. And that really does come from experience and putting in those shipments and making the sales yourself. So with that, if you guys can reflect back to that transition again from RA to wholesale, I'm assuming you guys didn't get it right out of the gate and figure your stuff out real quick. So do you have a few examples or things that you guys went through as kind of learning experiences, maybe failures, anything that you can think of in that realm?
Well, I can tell you, referencing sales ranking, as you said, it's more to analyze, and sometimes it comes with experience. That's different between RA and wholesale. In wholesale, we really target products with low sales rank and have consistently low sales rank, because that's the way Amazon works. Is sales ranks 20,000 and lower, generally pretty consistent sellers, maybe even 10,000 and lower. Once you start getting up above and beyond that, when we were at RA and we'd scan something and say, wow, all you look at it, this sales rank is 35,000. That's pretty good in toys and games, as we were. Not a lot of competition. This is going to be good. This is a great product. We get back, it's not sold in a while, and then we do a little more research beyond it, and we see that, well, its sales rank was 150,000 before it probably sold one time, dropped it all the way to 35,000, and now we're going to be stuck with it till this, versus just in the abstract, just like the picture. Oh, 35,000, that's perfect, because not every 35,000 sales rank is the same, and that's the kind of things that come with experience. A little further digging you have to do. Unfortunately, you don't really have to do that with the type of products we target with wholesale. But I know in RA it's a steep learning curve, especially if they've got a pile of them and you're buying them all under the impression that it's a 35,000 sales rank item, but then you get back and you realize that really it's more often 150,000 sales rank items selling once a week, and I've got a pile of them. It's going to take me 4 or 5 months to realize my money instead of the 2 weeks that I thought with this huge pile of cash. So I know that was a pretty, and like you said, that comes with experience. And there wasn't a lot of information back when we were doing it. Nowadays, it's pretty amazing, what you have at your fingertips with sales rank, historical data, and all that stuff. So you may not fall into that as often as we did, but that was certainly a steep learning curve for us with regards to sales rank.
To answer your question with the what kind of hiccups we had, there were a lot, man. Like it wasn't just we came in and knew it. We tried the traditional wholesale stuff, like same thing everybody else does. We went and Googled wholesaler and contacted everybody we could find. We found distributors. We contacted them and got, you get the gigantic catalogs or the files that are like 13,000 lines long, and they all suck. Like you run them through the process, you run them through, Price Checker, and you're going to find like 2 items that don't really, that are marginally suck. And then you're just trying to figure out how to make those 2 items good. And it was just miserable. Then we went to trade shows and we walked around, and we were bad at it. Like we were just terrible. Didn't know what to do. And here's the problem with going to a trade show for us, particularly not being experienced, is we spend all this money to go to ASD, and we're out there and we're tromping around, trying to figure out if we could buy something. But as it progresses, we're like, we need to buy something. Like we need to buy something, and you never need to get in that mindset like where you have to force something, because like we did end up buying stuff and it ended up being terrible. As soon as we got home, just crashed and burned. And so we went through that whole same process. Like I'm pretty sure that whenever someone starts like that transition, that first couple steps from RA into wholesale, like I'm pretty sure that's everybody's path. Is they do that right there, and they're like, oh man, this is not going to work, and they back up and go back to retail arbitrage because it's comfortable and it's what they understand. Luckily, we're pretty stubborn guys, so we were, Eric's he doesn't give up easy, and I don't give up easy, and we really did. We worked through that, and it was like we finally figured out that. It was easier, whenever we're competing. If I'm trying to, let's say I'm competing with Charles, and I, with a distributor who has 300 lines, the only thing that's separating us, they don't have any brand loyalty. They don't care. Like the only thing separating us is the size of our order. Like if my order's bigger than yours, they're going to like me more. And if your order's bigger than mine, they're going to like you more. There's really nothing else that's separating us. And, when we realized that, it was kind of a dagger. It's like one of those things where it's just like, it's just so disappointing, because it's that rat race you never can get away from, right? It's that thing where I'm always going to lose. I'm always going to lose because there's always somebody bigger. And then we started thinking about it from another perspective. And it was just like, what can we do that other people aren't doing? How can we set ourselves apart? And once we started thinking along those lines, that's when it changed for us. Like that's whenever it started really making sense, because we're reaching out to manufacturers, and the vast majority will turn you down, and it's by a large margin. They're just like, no, we don't need any more Amazon sellers. And you have to learn to talk to them in a fashion where, you identify problems that they have. Why don't you want any more Amazon sellers? That's a great question. Like if somebody tells you like we don't need any more Amazon sellers, like one of the best questions you can ask is why? Why do you think that? What are some of your experiences with Amazon sellers? And when we started asking questions, like I promise you, they don't care to vomit at the mouth. It's ridiculous how much they'll say. It's like they'll tell you every problem they've ever had with someone who sold on Amazon or thought they sold on Amazon or whatever. And it's like, can you not be that guy? Or like, can you, that's how we got started with like learning to provide value to manufacturers is we just learned what everybody else sucked at and wasn't putting in the work and wasn't doing, wasn't trying to be better. And once we did that, like we were able to start dealing with manufacturers at that level and developing relationships based on value rather than the size of our orders.
Nice. I love that you got into that part of bringing value to them. And I know a lot of the people watching may not even have any idea about the wholesale world. So what's the biggest difference between going to just a regular distributor for products, because most distributors will carry a huge line of different brands, versus going to the brand or manufacturer themselves?
Well, I mean, at the distributor level, their goal is to sell units. Like that's what their goal is. Their goal is to, they want to sell more units than they did last month, and that's all. Brand owners, typically a brand owner, the product to them is like their baby. Like they care about it. They loved it. They're the person that built it. They brought it into the world. So, generally they have an attachment to it, and they know that it's not just about sales today. It's about making their brand better. And as long as they continue to improve their brand, it's always going to pay the bills. So generally, those are the people you can work with and provide value because they care. They just care more. So that's the primary difference between distributors and manufacturers.
And the reason that it works with when you approach manufacturers and can talk to them about their brand and their product is because the type of manufacturers we target, which are going to be your small to maybe even medium-sized businesses, people that are very, in tune with what's happening with their products. We're not reaching out to, Hitachi or, Pepsi or any of these large brands or anything like this. It's going to be, you may even, ring the company up and get the CEO on the phone, the owner, whatever. These are the people that, are very connected to their product and want, the product's integrity means as much to them as fulfilling orders, if not more.
Why'd you say Hitachi, by the way? That's a creative brand. Like I always say like Nike or something like that. And Hitachi. When's the last Hitachi
I looked
product?
at this monitor is an Acer monitor, and I didn't think people would know what Acer was. So I thought another electronics company that people
awesome.
should know.
Awesome. So let's get into a few questions I see that we had on the sidebar here.
Yeah.
You guys getting some value out of this stuff? Be sure to drop comments below on that chat bar. We can get you answered. Here we go. Numbers I always put in the other person's ball court. If you don't want to share them, that's perfectly fine. Somebody asked what your net profit was. You can give me a thumbs up or down if you want to answer.
No, it doesn't bother me. Hours after overhead and was probably about 7.5%. So like after rent, insurance, salary, payrolls, all the things it costs to run our business, it was probably about 7.5% last year.
Nice. And just because this is going on YouTube, I know the trolls are watching. For those of you that just thought 7.5% is nothing, how much did you do in sales over 2016?
It's $7 million. So
do the math, guys. I always love that.
It should be about $500,000, I guess. Is that right?
All right. And I love this topic right here. So the average person starts obviously just with a small limited budget. I know you guys started with roughly about $800, right?
Yeah, $600 we come up for our RA project.
I love that. So Steven here asks, how can I start wholesale with around $500? I do have 2 private label products, but yes, it is a huge headache.
I would suggest running it up a bit with retail arbitrage or something. You can get started with wholesale. Like you see minimum orders. The average minimum order for us that we see is generally between $200 and $500. But like, you don't want to be so undercapitalized that you can place one min order and you have to, you have to get it right on your first try. Like, it makes more sense. Whenever people ask, we usually tell them that a good starting budget for wholesale is about $2,000 to $3,000. Mm-hmm. And that's just so you can place several orders and get your feet wet. I mean, like, worst case scenario generally is if you follow what we do, is that, you might sell a product and lose 5 to 10%. That's like the worst case scenario, but you don't want all that pressure. It's much easier to operate whenever you can place, 4 or 5 opening orders, and you can figure out, like, why did this one go well? Why did this one, not do so well? And it's that learning experience, I feel like, that gives you a huge advantage.
Awesome. And next question, where to start when looking for distributors or manufacturers to contact? Google, or just looking through product lists, or going to Amazon.com itself? Where do you guys recommend that newbies would start finding brands to go to?
For us, I mean, particularly with the way that we like to, secure products for high selling, and is on Amazon. I mean, it has that data there. I mean, it gives you, we can really eliminate products down to exactly what we're looking for, knowing how many people are competitively selling it, what's its sales rank, what I could expect to sell. Then all I got to find out, is the cost of goods. And that's when I reach out to the manufacturer once I've got that, that progression down to, it's straight Amazon for all of our sourcing. We get all the information straight from what's provided on every single product page.
Why not go to the source, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I'm going to sell it. So it tells me how it performs, where I'm going to sell it. So that's perfect.
Yep. Next one, I love this question. Basically, which point do you guys see the price breaks happen? Because like you said, if you go in with a $500 minimum, because that's what they require, you're going to pay whatever that first price is they ask. And is there certain dollar amounts, let's say the $1,000 mark, the $5,000 mark, is there a certain dollar amount that ordered where you start to see the price breaks happen, or does that vary very much company to company?
It varies a lot company to company.
Yeah, I don't even think there's even a rule of thumb. Like, it's going to be on a per company basis.
Yeah. I mean, some companies, their initial price is their best price, and you have to work from there. But it's like, it varies a lot, man. It just takes a lot of filling them out and doing your best to get the best price you can.
I've heard you guys say reverse sourcing. Would you be able to explain that a bit?
Sure. So reverse sourcing is the process Eric talked about just a little, briefly. It was, we start on Amazon and we look for our manufacturers there. Like, every product, it has the manufacturer listed. So whenever we're going through and it meets that criteria that we talked about earlier, the 3, once we find a product that meets those criteria, we will research that manufacturer. So we'll take that information, Google the manufacturer, and go to their website from there. If their website has contact information, that's how we contact them. We'll reach out to them through email or phone call and try to set up a relationship there. And that's reverse sourcing. It's, the traditional method for wholesale was find a wholesaler and see what they got and then see what's good. Whereas we try to find what's good and then see who sells it.
There you go. All right, next up is a 2-parter. How do you convince a manufacturer or wholesaler to allow you to sell their products on Amazon? Also, have you had to pay the $1,000 to $3,000 approval fee to get ungated in a category?
Like, here's the thing about those approval fees. It's like, first off, it's only on weird, like, topical, I think, is one of them, and maybe vitamin is one of them. And luckily we're like, I assume we're grandfathered in. But I would pay it in a heartbeat. Like, that's the thing is, I love high hurdles. I love any kind of restrictions or anything like that. So, like, when it comes to would you pay or have you, it's more of, I would happily pay every time. In fact, if they would do it across the board, I would pay now, even though I'm grandfathered in. If they told me instead, like, hey, we'll just remove all the grandfathered in people and make them pay, I would happily do that, because I know some people won't go over that hurdle. But as far as, like, getting people to sell to you, it's not even, when you think about it, it sounds ridiculous, but it's like, you have to treat them like a human. You have to, we go to them hat in hand and say, okay, so this is, we understand Amazon platform. Like, your product is not performing as well as it should be based on these factors. Could be their titles bad. Could be their description's bad. They don't have enough pictures. The pictures are bad. They don't have lifestyle pictures. Their description's bad. Their bullet points are bad. Like, anything on that page, right? Anything that would make that product not sell as well as it could, we're pointing that out to them, and we're actually presenting a plan to fix it. So, whenever, it's funny, like whenever we go to Amazon or whenever we go to a seller or a vendor, they don't even need us because we tell them how to fix their own product. In fact, a lot of the times I'll be like, hey, if you don't want to work with us, pass this along to one of your sellers and get this fixed because you guys are missing a whole lot of opportunity on Amazon. But guess what? When somebody does that, like, they want to work with you. Like, that's the thing is, do we still get turned down? Absolutely. But we give them a reason to want to work with us. And it's, I'm going to be honest to you. Like, here's, that's how we approach it. It's like, we're going to be honest. Here's what we would do to fix your product. And, we would love to work with you. If you don't, and that's good. And that approach gets you in the door a lot of the time because they just, that people, I think like that approach. It's they understand it and like it.
I love that. Yeah, that's one thing that I preach, whether it's I had a massage therapy business for many years. So whatever business I've been in, I've always had that same approach, is just give value first. That's how any business, really anything in life should be done that way. So I love that you guys are doing that. You're just putting it all out there. So with that, when you find a product that you are ready to go in with, what are you doing? This big old fancy long detailed email? Are you making phone calls? How's that contact happen? Because I know
our email
is a question that people have.
It was funny. Like, if you looked at our first emails, it was great. Like, I was actually doing this the other day. I was looking at our original templates, and I swear they were blocks of text. Eric always makes fun of like some of the emails I write. He's like, "Oh, this so block of text."
Nobody's ever reading that. Right.
And it was, I'm not even kidding. It was blocks of text, just gigantic. And we were getting turned down, and we were getting awkward responses sometimes where, like, they didn't understand. Like, they were like, "Oh, you do all this, you want to do this stuff? Like, what are you trying to charge us?" And it's like, nothing. And then you have to, like, send them another block of text email, like, explaining that you're not trying to charge them. You just want to sell their products. And it was a nightmare. So, like, our current emails are very, very short and to the point. We've actually, like, all of us have tried to make it as simple as possible, and that's how we came up with the most recent templates. Is we were just very short to the point. And you asked about phone calls. Do you have to do them? No. Will your conversion rate go up, say 4x? Yes. So as far as what works better, phone calls definitely work better. We do use email first though because it takes less time.
I love that. It's just keep it simple. That's just a little tiny thing that would help everyone in life. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, because to give you a good point, like, luckily Dan remembered the first part of the two-part conversation, but if he'd tossed it to me, he was going to have to say it again because it was like, that's the thing about 85% of two-part questions don't get answered properly. Luckily, he knocked it out of the park, but, like, I forgot the first part of the question. So that when you allow the things to become confusing, people, it'll happen. So, like, that's a perfect example. Literally just having 5 minutes ago.
And it's to further on that, it's like whenever you confuse somebody, they don't want to work with you. Yeah. Like, inherently, they will want to work with you less if you confuse them. So, again, we've as simple as possible is our approach.
Yeah, it's funny, real quick. I literally just had that happen about 2 weeks ago. I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace trying to find some scores, and I see a product that I was looking at purchasing for myself. And I thought, holy crap, I want to get this because it was like $20 cheaper than what was on Amazon. I'm like, I'm going to buy this. Turns out he manufactures it an hour away from me. And I messaged him, said, hey, are you selling on Amazon or eBay by chance? He said, no, not yet, but I'm thinking about it. And I did exactly what you guys just said not to do. I wrote him this lengthy, like, I want to work with you type of email. And he took it as that. He asked me, how much do you charge? Like, what do you mean work with you? And I'm like, well, I just blew that out of the water. So I told him we need to meet up face to face. But that was a prime example. I made it way too complicated.
Right.
And
absolutely.
So yeah, just keep it simple, guys. I think we already touched base on this. So do you find products on Amazon first, then contact manufacturers? What's the process? Did we miss anything in the That's basically it.
No, it's as long as they hit those 3 criteria. I mean, that's the thing is, like, this is why we've been able to get our work down from, 60, 70 hours a week to 10 to 15, is because everything's really simple. Like, it's simple on purpose. It's simple by design because we wanted employees to be able to handle these things. Like, we have 6 employees and 6 virtual assistants or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's between 5 and 7 virtual assistants. And our entire business is able to be ran.
What number is between 5 and 7?
Well, it could be 5, 6, or 7.
Well,
Thanks, man.
6. Oh, we have.
I think it's 6.
I
think it's 6.
Okay, well.
But I knew Matt was looking for. He was looking for another one.
I got you.
So,
6.
But that's we did it because we wanted it to be simple. We wanted virtual assistants to be able to handle our sourcing. Like, all of our sourcing is handled by virtual assistants because we've really streamlined the process to make it very, very simple. 3 criteria, and then go Google them and find them and put their contact information down, and it's just so easy. Like, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I think the biggest missing link getting into wholesale, what you guys are talking about, same thing is why most people don't even start FBA in general, even with RA. They just lack the ability to just start.
Yep.
They just let that fear keep them held back. And especially, like, I feel like RA and OA, garage sales, that kind of stuff is great for, like, entry level. But the reach is a point where you want to scale up. You need to automate and really make things dependable, like you guys said, and predictable. I feel like that's another big sticking point. I know we got stuck at that point for many, many months, like 6 months. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I really want to do wholesale. I really want to do wholesale. I just never did it because of that fear. There's all these different questions, all these things that stop. So when we could get into your guys' brain and really pick that stuff apart, and we see how simple it is, it makes, a small time people go, oh crap, I could even do that.
Yeah.
That feels good. So we thank you guys for being on here again. And again, if you guys have questions, you can drop them off to the chat. Next is, what do you offer that is different than other folks trying to secure wholesale accounts? I assume it's product listing improvements. Doesn't that help all sellers?
I mean, I don't care about helping other sellers. Great, good for them.
Yeah, because, it helps us too. We already know this product is going to sell at least the number of times that we want. If we get in there and increase, the overall supply of sales, we're getting the larger than we got. So yeah, it's fine. I don't have a problem.
But guess what? Like, when Eric goes in and he fixes, he helps them out and fixes that listing, and they get to see the increase in sales across all sellers. They know who brought that. Like, we make sure that they know. I promise you, we take screenshots and we show them, and like, hey, these are the changes we made, and this is the result. They know who did that work, and they'll want to work with you more and more. And that's why you build a relationship. Like, the first time you go out with a lady, you're not going to ask her to marry you. It's just not going to happen. You build that relationship over time, and eventually they want to only work with you. And we found over the past year that started to happen to us, where we've worked with accounts for 12, 14 months, and they just, we've done a lot for them. And they're, we become the exclusive seller on a lot of those products. So it's over time, like, as you provide value, people want to work with you more.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was going to bring up the exclusivity part. So obviously, you guys, when you send out emails, like, you don't call it manufacturer, be like, hey, can I be your only Amazon person? That's not the way to go.
I think people that do that are just stone silly. Like,
oh yeah.
You're never going to get anywhere. Like, anybody that says yes has some serious problems with their brand, and you probably should consider. You should just not do it at that point. Like, it's crazy. Like, go through the process, work with them, and develop the relationship that gets you there.
I love it. Yeah, because the 2 biggest things. I haven't gotten into wholesale too much now, but I can ask you guys. There's 2 things I would assume start to happen deeper in that relationship is 1, exclusivity. Number 2 is those price breaks, because then you can start working with your sales rep a little bit more and developing that relationship.
Well, it's like you start to, they whenever they start working with you as opposed to supplying you, that's when the relationship really changes. It's like whenever you can have that conversation of, I really feel like if we could get this extra margin, this is what we could do with it. And they start wanting to give you that extra margin because they see all the awesome stuff you've done with them.
And we've got several accounts that we're selling with some of the bigger names, the bigger brands that are on Amazon, and they'll just tell us, you guys get the best price, you get better pricing than company X that is a huge Amazon seller, and so that's not uncommon at all, and it's came about from the fostering the relationship as time has gone on.
That's kind of getting into like the depth versus width theory. So with that, do you guys focus on just a few SKUs you're going really deep with? Do you go really wide? What's your business model look like in that sense?
We try to keep products, because, that's the beauty of the wholesale model is the replenishable nature of it. So we just try to order a 30-day supply and then just reorder it, because it's not like you said, you don't have to, you sold through that product and now I've got to, oh no, it's a garage sale, I can't get it again. I know where I'm getting it the next month. So I don't have to go deep on it because it's going to be there month over month. So yeah, we just,
we never have to go deep.
Right.
There's just no purpose in it for us.
Because it's just a matter of sending an email, maybe a phone call or what have you, and it's reordered and the next 30-day supply is on a truck to our warehouse.
Awesome. And any third-party softwares for searching for products on Amazon, or I guess any type of softwares you guys use in general?
We use a lot of softwares, but I can say this, like whenever we first started with wholesale, like the first 6 months, we did, bear in mind, we did $300-something thousand in sales and use 0 softwares. So, it's not, it's not like you have to have them. It's just,
that just provides scalability.
Right.
It's just learn it and it gets started. The only hardware basically we used was a mouse, clicking through Amazon listings, click, click, open new tab. So it's certainly not mandatory at all.
Right. We use stuff like Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout's really good. And I don't think we could do our model without Jungle Scout. Like that's like kind of like the one requisite for product research for us is because we've tested the other ones. We've tested ACID Inspector, and all of them are great softwares like Unicorn Smasher and ACID Inspector and Market. I think it's the new ones like Marketplace Insights or something like that from Viral Launch. Like we're even testing it now. But for us, like literally none of them have been as accurate as Jungle Scout, like versus our sales. So like we use Jungle Scout a lot to be able to predict. But here's the fun. Here's something fun. If you're starting on more of a budget, like all you have to do is go to junglescout.com/estimator and it's free. Like you can operate for free until you actually have to have it.
I love it. Next is, what are some of the questions to anticipate from manufacturers? So let's say you send out that first email. What typical questions are you expecting to hear back from those guys?
It varies a lot. A lot of it depends on what your, what type of product it is, what type of market it is. And it'll vary a lot depending on the type of manufacturer you're contacting. Like, are they a bargain brand or are they a luxury brand and things like that. But, the most common reasons you're going to get turned down are they already have enough Amazon sellers. Like you will hear that a lot. So.
Next is, do you ever have manufacturers ship directly to Amazon for you, or do you always take title to the products first?
No, we definitely have manufacturers ship direct on some products. Some products you just can't. Like, you can't ship multi-packs. You can't. Anything that really needs real prep, like we would rather do that in-house than have Amazon do it.
And the way that was worded implies, I feel like, that we're getting it in, our stuff's getting imported. It's all domestic suppliers. So it's nothing's coming from China for us. Nothing's coming. I shouldn't say all. We've got one Canadian product and maybe 2 from the UK, but 99.5% of our products are all domestic. So they are coming to us, but we're not, it's not like a manifest coming over that, like when it says taking title of, I don't know if he was implying that we're importing products, which we're not. So
99.5.
Right. I upped it from last. So
okay.
Yeah, I've moved it up a little. I ran the numbers.
Looks like Scott said not imported, domestic.
Okay, yeah. So, I just wanted to clarify in the event that it was, I know we hadn't touched on it because a lot of people assume that we're getting, stuff shipped over, and that's not the case at all.
Awesome. Next is, if you guys were to go back and redo it again, are there any things you would change, do differently? I know, Dan, I've heard you mention before, like you would not have the warehouse. You would utilize the prep centers a little bit more. So is there a couple pieces of advice you can maybe give some of the newbies that you guys may have done differently?
Well, I mean, it's funny because like now we have a map. So like we know, it's like we can do it significantly more efficiently because we know like what not to do.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, small things like think about the business you want. Think about the business you want and start with that in mind and build to that. We didn't do that. We were really excited to get started. And to be honest, we didn't even know prep centers existed.
That wasn't even a reality for us. I mean, I'd never even heard of a prep center when we started.
But if we had it to do all over again, we would outsource that.
Because that's the kind of job we want. We want, complete freedom. There are some people that, actually enjoy having a warehouse, having the consistency going in, and hanging out with employees and just kind of being, some sort of rigid schedule, even though it's not necessarily. So there's some people that's like that. For us, we want, and I'd say most people are like that, but just, it's whatever, when Dan says it, define or decide what you want for your business personally, because there are solutions. This day and age, it's insane that the amount of things that, you can get done. So yeah, that's kind of where you should probably, start with that.
Awesome. And do you have a bottom profit margin, or do you buy it if there's profit no matter the amount, depending on sales velocity?
No, I wouldn't say no matter the amount. I mean, it's like we target 30. We target a minimum 30% ROI, but we're flexible. Like here's the thing about rules with us is I believe that rules are made to be broken. They're more guidelines. So whenever we're looking at a product, if it has a 20% ROI and it has great velocity and it's, super consistent in terms of price, like it's mapped or something like that, like I will buy that product all day. Like it's just.
Yeah, but let's say it has low prep requirements or a higher selling price and most things where that 20% is more money return, like a larger dollar amount. So there's plenty of ways that products get analyzed on a individual basis. There's not really like a blanket application to them, because there's some products that have much higher ROI, but we don't deal with them because of how high the return rate is on it, how difficult it is to process, or any number of things. So it's not if it meets this return, guaranteed to carry it. That's not the way it is for us at all.
And just a bit of advice, like never let an arbitrary rule you set cost you money. Like Eric said it perfect. We look at every product on an individual basis.
Awesome. Next up, if this is coming out of my own brain now, if you can give the newbies especially tangible things they can start doing, and the first thing that comes to my mind is setting up some type of consistency or schedule. How many emails, phone calls, hours per week would you recommend that they start putting in the work to get these wholesale accounts set up?
I mean, number one, to give them like tangible advice to get started, get your resale certificate. Like it is required. What do they do with it? It's funny because like every single wholesale company you contact is going to ask you for it, and they don't actually care. They just want to see that you have it. It's like the certificate of I'm a real business. That's your I'm a real business certificate. So as long as you send it to them, you're good. But you have to have it. But in terms of giving yourself a goal, it's a quick tip is instead of like sourcing and calling and sourcing and contacting, try to streamline that process and source a whole bunch before you do any of the rest. Like that way you get to contact, whenever we contact people, we do this and we like to tell our students, like contact, 50 people like that instead of just one and hoping for a response. Like whenever you're doing that, you're going to get better results because you're not stopping your process every time.
Nice. That just made me think about one of my big mistakes when I started trying to get wholesale accounts done was I got my first email sent out and I sat in my inbox for 3 days waiting for the reply because I was so excited. Meanwhile, I could have sent out 50 emails in those 3 days.
Yeah.
So I can agree with that one.
That's why you got to send 50 of them because at some point you will get responses and you're just like, yes, and then you got to do it.
Absolutely. How do you get a resale certificate or license?
Each state is different, but you can literally Google it for your state, like
Google's an
certificate.
awesome website.
Yeah, it's up and coming. It's doing big things.
Nobody's really heard of it yet, but
so it's like a Google resale certificate state, whatever state it is, and it'll have the information.
Now there's like a couple states that don't have one,
No.
and
Oregon.
Oregon's one, New Hampshire, Montana, I believe.
Oh no, I think you've unplugged us here.
Yeah. If you are in one of those states like myself, we don't have a reseller certificate at all. When wholesale suppliers or vendors will ask you for one, typically your .gov website, so ours, Oregon.gov, has just like a mock-up. It takes 2 seconds to put my basic business info, and then I give them some of them want a backup, which is usually my LLC, so I'll give them that. Tax identification number, all that kind of good stuff. So you have to have that stuff in order. And I tell you what, you guys have probably seen the same thing. We see so many people come in and out of the FBA world. And the second they find out, like, oh, I have to go, like, maybe you have to pay $100 for your certificate. Maybe you have to do a few Google searches. People are like, oh, it's so much work.
Yeah.
You have to tell them straight up, like, sorry, this is not going to be the business for you. It's harder than filling out a document and paying $100.
Yeah. If you can't that one's
but I mean, even if you're not going to do wholesale, like that thing will make you money on retail arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to go in and save taxes and stuff like that. Like there's really no reason to not have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, if you guys, we got a couple minutes left, so if you want to get last minute questions in, go for it, is how many different products do you have out at once? Or does that really matter to you guys, how many different products you're doing?
For sure, we'd like to have more. I mean, it's built month over month. I mean, we're replenishing, product A. Next month we pick up product B's and C, and then the next month we're replenishing A, B, and C, picking up D and E. So we're trying to continually expand and continue to get revenue over them. I don't even know the last time I looked. How many SKUs were we?
500.
Okay, so we were up to about 400 or 500.
But it started with one. I mean, that's the thing is, with wholesale, like you can have a really sick business with 10 SKUs if they're good, if they're the right SKUs. Like you can have a really awesome business with 10 SKUs.
I love it. All right, looks like we're good on questions. This next question is a great segue into something I'm like so freaking excited for. Can we get a copy of your email templates?
Well, I mean, if you could, Dan would have them. I don't know. I certainly don't have them.
That was a great segue into.
I mean, it's really simple. Like, I'll be honest with you. If that's what you want, and you'd be disappointed. It's hi. We are our company name. I'm representing our company name. We're based in Kentucky. We noticed the following product. We would like to talk to you about opening an account. It's that simple, really. Like, don't overthink it. Just
keep it simple.
Yeah.
So next is how do you have wholesale accounts shipped to residential addresses?
Set up a UPS. You can set up a UPS store address. Like there's the UPS boxes you can get, or you can have it shipped to a third-party fulfillment center, like a Prime Zero Prep or.
And honestly, too, if like you're on that level, you're probably most of your products are getting delivered to UPS anyway, parcel. Like I mean, we still have probably 30 to 40% of our products still don't come in parcel, don't they?
Yep.
Like I mean, it's we're on a pretty good scale right now, but even we're still getting well over a third of our products coming in via UPS and FedEx rather than pallets. So like until you get on that level, I don't think you should. Should have much trouble at all.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys, one of our students, he had always just received everything at his house, and when he would receive a pallet shipment, they couldn't get up his road. So he had a place, like a local business, that would receive pallet shipments for him for $20.
Wow.
Nice.
And he would just come and pick it up after they
Oh yeah,
unloaded
I hadn't thought about that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that made me think of I know somebody that their companies that they were ordering from would not ship residential, so they would go have them dropped off in a Lowe's parking lot because that's the business address, and they would just take their pickup and go haul it away.
And I'll tell you another thing that actually happened to us. Now, that just reminded me. We had one held at a hub before, like the hub before it went out on the last truck, which was about 15 miles from here, and we went up to the hub and just offloaded it into a truck. The pallet. So there's another option of
nice
of doing it.
Awesome. All right, I think that's good on questions. So next thing I'm pumped about, could you guys start covering a little bit about, I know you've got a 5-day workshop coming up, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. So can you just let people know, and I mean, myself included, I'm excited to do it. So this is completely free, 5 days. You guys are just going to be pouring everything into that, right?
Yeah. And so this 5-day workshop is literally going to walk people through, how to find products, how to find manufacturers, how to contact them, and all the small steps in there. In between that, it's going to be like, not just how to identify products, but how to identify products that hit our criteria. So we're going to take a real deep dive into how products, what makes a product something we would choose to buy. Then we're in there. We're going to also do a live webinar where people get to ask us questions directly. I think it's just going to be an amazing event, man.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun, and it's so there's not any confusion. It is online and it is free. You don't have to go anywhere, and if you don't, there's going to be some nice new content released for 5 days. But if you're not able to catch the webinar live, or you didn't see video 1 or video whatever, it's going to be on replay so that you can catch up at your own speed and when you have time. So it's not like be there or you're out.
Now there's a caveat to that. It is like you said, you can catch up, but it is if you don't sign. Like we're only leaving it up for like a week. So, it's going to be up. It's going to be free. You can get your replays for that week. But after that, we're taking it down. Right. And we do that because, we first off, we like people who take action. We want people to jump in there and get excited about this thing. It's, it's a free event. We put a lot of work into it. And I'll be honest with you, if this same event existed when we started, it would have changed our business radically. So, I think it's something people should get excited about. So it's again, it is pre-recorded, but get in there, take action, get signed up for it.
That's what I love about what you guys are doing with this thing is it takes your experience over the years you've been doing this, and you get to cut out some of the crap you went through, and you get to compile it down to just it's that consistent routine that you guys get to go into, learn, and just implement after you leave. So I thank you guys for putting that on. I'm excited to take it.
Yeah. Should be fun.
From that, I think we are golden. Where do we sign up for the course? The workshop. We do have a course. I read course at the same time. We do have a link that I will be able to provide for you guys. So it will be in the description of this video recording when it's posted to both YouTube and the Facebook group for you guys to enroll with. And when does that start?
It is the 17th through the 21st. Yep.
5 days that bad boy will start. So make sure you guys get in, get registered, and we'll get you taken care of. And I'm actually going to see you guys live next week at the Midwest Conference, right?
That's true, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's I saw you guys got added onto the roster, so I'm also one of the speakers. So I thought it was pretty cool when I saw you guys get added on. I'm like, yes, I get to meet them in person.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, we'll be sure to get together. Yep, Midwest Ecom. So if you guys want info on that, make sure you get signed up. I think Travis only has like just a few tickets left. MidwestEcom.com. You can get that all signed up. So sweet. Jeremy will be there.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. We got a few of you that will be in here. Sweet. Yeah. We'll be sure to get together and do a Facebook Live or something like that for the group.
No doubt. That sounds awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you next week.
Absolutely, man.
Have a good day.
Right.
You too.
Thanks.
Have a great night, guys.